control. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues and guests, salam alaikum, good afternoon. My name is Antonio Di Cecca, Chief Operating Officer at Tabreed, the leading district cooling company in the United Arab Emirates. I would like to thank the UAE Pavilion to hosting Tabreed today and to giving us the possibility to talk about our industry and its achievement in energy efficiency and reduction of its carbon footprint. First of all, in case anyone is unfamiliar with this concept of district cooling, let's consider what this solution is. District cooling is the most efficient technology for supplying and distributing chilled water to our customers from a centralized plant through a system of pre-insulated and underground pipes that helps to meet building cooling requirements, mainly commercial buildings, offices, malls, and residential. There is no doubt that demand for cooling is surging around the world, and district cooling offers an effective solution for governments and end users alike, generating sustainable and cost-efficient cooling solutions for growing needs of our cities. Traditional air conditioning systems are inefficient by design. They are designed to meet peak loads, such as when buildings are fully occupied on the afternoon in the hottest day of the year, even though this load occurs rarely. And most residential buildings are empty during working hours. Most office buildings are vacant during night. Fortunately, a more effective alternative for areas of high density demand exists thanks to district cooling. District cooling works by aggregating demand, ideally among multiple buildings that combine residential and commercial spaces. When applied appropriately, district cooling is more energy efficient than traditional cooling solution, more cost effective for customers, and it reduces peak power requirements and further investment in electricity plants and network infrastructure. Removing rooftop chillers provides developers with greater flexibility when designing buildings, which also results in a more aesthetically pleasing environment. The benefits of district cooling over conventional air conditioning are numerous, but the main, when it comes to environmental matters, is that it is approximately 50% more energy efficient than conventional methods. The carbon emission savings from district cooling are reduced consequently by half or more. Before going into the details of these environmental benefits, let me first tell you a few things about Tabreed, which is headquartered in Abu Dhabi. The company was founded in 1998 and now owns and operates more than 86 cooling plants in UAE, Saudi, Oman, and Bahrain, with additional new plants being developed just now here in Egypt. We currently deliver to our customers more than 1.2 million refrigeration tons of reliable and sustainable cooling, essential cooling. These customers include Sheikh Zayed Mosque in Abu Dhabi, the Louvre Abu Dhabi, and the world's tallest building, Burj Khalifa in Dubai, and many more of region's most famous landmarks and developments. Put simply, without district cooling, life as we know in UAE would not be possible, or would be very different. We are an essential part of the country infrastructure, and our services benefit everyone. Tabreed is a company built on sustainability, and our expertise in this industry is unmatched anywhere in the world. We know the benefits district cooling brings to many of the world's cities, and there is a huge potential also for African countries here now, where district cooling is either not existent or it's in its infancy. To meet our collective net zero carbon targets, district cooling is vital. The world is increasingly urban. 75% of the world population will soon be living in cities. Air conditioning is using 20% of total electricity in buildings around the world. or 10% of global electricity consumption. And as the places where major demographic, economic, and environmental trends overlap, cities are essential for the ongoing energy revolution. Without action to address energy efficiency, demand for cooling will more than triple by 2050, which equals to China and India electricity consumption today. Tabreed goals is to continue contributing to city energy transition and city transformation. We are making this a reality by integrating what we do into local ecosystem and working with community stakeholders to make cities safer, more resilient, more efficient, and more sustainable. District cooling is one of the most efficient, cost-effective ways to reduce the carbon footprint of densely built areas like city centers, industrial, or office parks. They can be fueled by renewable and local resources like geothermal, solar energy, waste heat from industrial processes, or energy from waste that couldn't be otherwise used. Now, let's consider UAE own energy targets. Our national energy strategy for 2050 aims to 70% reduction of carbon footprint to be achieved by saving in power generation and 40% increase in consumption efficiency by individuals and corporations. Clearly then, district cooling has a vital part to play, especially when we face increasing population in our cities. This industry is a key driver of sustainability, and when integrated with local and renewable energy, such as solar, wind, geothermal, plus energy storage, it becomes a practically perfect solution to the challenge faced by governments and developers in warm and dense climates and cities. It is time to act, time for implementation. And when we talk about this, innovation is essential. Any industry needs to innovate to stay in the market, to bring noticeable benefits to customers and environment. And Tabreed is not different, and over the past quarter of a century has been developing and introducing innovation into its operations. Atef Al-Breiki, our Senior Vice President for Operation and Maintenance, I will leave the floor to him now, and he will detail some of the key innovation and implementations in Tabreed. After, we will take a few questions from the audience. Thank you very much. Shukran.
So thank you, Antonio, for this address and your talk about district cooling and Tabreed innovation in general. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming here to hear from us about Tabreed and district cooling in general. And in the UAE celebration of and recognition of key players in sustainability. And as this country original district cooling provider, Tabreed has been at the forefront of the UAE push for sustainability, and since its founding nearly a quarter of a century ago. It's a irrefutable fact that the biggest consumer for electrical energy in this country is cooling, and the demand for this essential service is yet increasing. Yet Tabreed, on average, uses half of the electricity consumed in comparison to another cooling or different conventional cooling systems. And Tabreed operations prevents millions of tons of greenhouse gases and emission, and we continue to strive for ever greater energy efficiency and to reduce our impact on the environment, but also to be pioneering here. So you can see also that we have around 86 plants in 4 countries. Also will be joined with two plants under development here in Egypt. And the company owns and operates, as I mentioned, 86 plants in the GCC, and soon will be joined with the new plants under development in Egypt. Where I come from, 70% of the electricity consumed is coming from cooling. And district cooling by itself consume 50% of that, is more efficient by 50%. So here you can see that it's true that district cooling on average uses half of the electricity consumed by conventional cooling. In order for us to establish our roadmap to net zero, we need first of all to measure how much we are consuming and what's our footprint. So we use a lot of technologies, okay, to produce our cooling and chilled water, and this technology varies from gas engines using the grid and also some generators to drive our chillers. And all of these cooling processes are tracked and responsibly disclosed to as part of our annual ESG reporting. And this also tracked at the highest level of the company and the organization. And we are utilizing and also utilized to determine our roadmap and what's our target in the future. So in 2021, our reported operational carbon emission were 1.1 million tons from various activities under Scope 1 and Scope 2 and Scope 3. Mainly under Scope 1 and also a few in Scope 2 and also Scope 1. So what we are doing about it? So from that annual carbon footprint, 1.1 million tons, we established our roadmap to net zero, comprising mainly in 5 themes. From our baseline that established in 2017, established in mainly 5 themes. The first theme is big data and artificial intelligence, technology retrofits, which I will talk in details in the coming slides, operational excellence, where we utilize our demand forecasting and weather forecasting, and also finally clean energy, where we use geothermal, solar energy, but also renewables, looking at solar PV and biogas. Again, autonomous operation as the first theme with big data and artificial intelligence, and Tabreed has collaborated with the leaders in automations and to design and implement our master SCADA system that will act as a system that sits on top of our plant operations to finally reach to a fully autonomous district cooling plant that is utilizing all the machine learning and artificial intelligence that we developed from our long experience over the last 20 years. And this state-of-the-art software monitor the plant operations, processing also and the instant and historical data that we captured from our 86 plants in operations. 3 years on that inception, Tabreed new strategy has paid off significantly and overachieving our initial anticipated targets, and solidifying our Tabreed leading market position, but also strengthening our business model for operating our plant. As you can see here, that now most of our plants are connected to a centralized data warehouse with a central control and dispatch center. Looking at our journey in artificial intelligence, this is before 2010. You can see the traditional district cooling plant where there is no connectivities. The plant is run in manual mode. Now, 2018, we started automating a lot of these processes and establishing connectivity. In 2019, also we started now collecting all of this data from the plant. Our OT data coming from most of the equipment in the plant, collected to one centralized data warehouse, as I mentioned. And from this data warehouse, now we are taking the data to machine learning algorithms that sits on top of the plant operations, helping the plant to be more self-adaptive and learn from all the operation parameters that we are collecting. So this is, now I will talk more about the use cases that we use from this project. Again, one of them is the digital twins, collecting this data in our data warehouse, but also looking how we can have uh, a digital twin coming from all of these plants and also from all this equipment. This is helping us to unlock a lot of use cases from artificial intelligence point of view. Yes, all of this all plants here in the UAE and outside is connected now, and we are collecting more than 3 billion data point every month with more than 100,000 tags now in our data warehouse. These all initiatives is push in our sustainability and innovation, becoming a core at Tabreed operations and supporting our UAE vision for carbon neutral economy, leading our ambitious plan going further. One of the other use cases also is using this collected data now from our plants, from specific equipment, and how we can transform our maintenance strategy. Yes, from time-based or reactive maintenance to a more predictive maintenance, focusing at our performance of every equipment, establishing the right parameters for every equipment, selecting the best and most efficient equipment to be used at that processes. So it's yielded a lot of benefits for us, and also we are exploring further in that area, leveraging on the power of big data and artificial intelligence powered analytics. We kick-started the migration from our traditional maintenance philosophy to this purely performance-driven maintenance strategy, which enhanced also the equipment reliability, but also enhanced the equipment lifestyle and our responsiveness and our service level and the reliability that we are guaranteeing for our consumers. Let me move on now to the second phase for our net zero roadmap, which is technology retrofits. We are looking out there to find a lot of technologies that we can adopt in order to push further in our pursuit for carbon neutrality and decarbonization initiatives. One of them is nanotechnologies, and one of this technology that we are pursuing, it enhances our decarbonization efforts, and it's nothing more than a nanoparticle, which is used for improving the heat transfer, and it's fluid additive that improve the heat transfer, as I mentioned. It's an engineered substance of submicron aluminum oxide particles act as a fluid, and this is simple drop-on additive. It's only 2% of the total fluid volume of the cooling system that we have, which enhances the heat transfer in our cooling system, which resulted now in our pilot around 15% reduction in energy consumption, which yielding a good result we are seeing so far. But also it significantly reduced the approach temperature during the heat exchange phases, resulting also in reduced pressure differential, which decreases the compressor runtime and chiller lift. Moving on also in the third phase, which is the third theme of our Tabreed pursuit in net zero, which is operational excellence. So a lot of independent parameters affect the cooling loads of Tabreed. So if you look at the plant, there is the weather temperature, the wet bulb temperature, the different side of the plant operations affect those parameters have a significant impact on the cooling load of our chiller plant. So we said, let's try to collaborate with weather forecasting agencies. that will help us forecast the weather patterns, in the next days or next weeks, in order to be one step ahead before the customer's demand. So we collaborated with the weather forecasting agency, and this project we believe that has a significant contribution towards our project of decarbonization. Even we are saying 2 to 3% improvement of the volume of the cooling loads that we are seeing produced every day and daily basis, and the result is considerable that we are seeing so far. However, we are still now in the phase of taking this data and coupling it with our SCADA system. So to achieve to the phase that we mentioned earlier of fully self-adaptive algorithm at the SCADA system. So the plant will be a fully autonomous, taking this forecasted data that we are getting from the weather, wet bulb, and other factors. So the plant will run itself in the most efficient and optimal way that we are looking for. So we are collaborating also with some other software developers to achieve to that state. Finally, we are currently researching various methods to make our plant operation depend on a more cleaner and greener energy, as much as possible. And as part of this vision, we have laid in the roadmap towards using waste heat recovery, such as geothermal, as I mentioned, exhaust from diesel and gas engines in our sites, and also looking at renewable heat sources from solar to be used as a useful cooling effect as substance of this traditional dependency on electricity. In fact, we are seeing a potential for decarbonize our activities roughly around 12 to 20%. We are still at the early stage on this, still in our exploration phase, and hopefully in the next year, inshallah, 2023, we will have more pilots coming, hopefully in the UAE. In summary, we see that by harnessing the power of big data and investing in cutting-edge IT technologies, it's possible. It's even possible for district cooling providers such as Tabreed to increase our energy efficiency. And we'll keep this push in the future to be the market leader for district cooling, utilizing our 22 years experience in this area. And now I can say thank you. Me and Antonio will be available to take your questions.
I think he has a question for.
Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. Very intriguing. I just wanted to know how are you...
Introduce yourself to people.
My name is Sabu Asghar. I am responsible for HSE and quality at Tabreed. Question to you, Mr. Al-Buraiki, is that how are you going to utilize the data, as you mentioned? Can you elaborate a bit more on it? And are you collecting data at this moment, and how is it helping you now, and what you're looking in the future to utilize the data? Thank you.
For now, Tabreed, we connected mostly of all our plants, including our regional plants in Tabreed. So the next step was for us in how to connect those plants, first of all, and how to historize all of this data in a data warehouse, yes? And from that, establishing our data governance policy. But the next step is how we make sure that this data is cleaned, structured, and readily available to be used by other third-party application that we deem very important for us. So this is now at this stage we are saying we are collecting this data. We established a platform that makes sure that all of these data that is being collected is clean and available to be used in other applications. The next step for us is now to unlock a lot of these use cases, as I mentioned, and predictive analytics, for example, digital twins, and also fully autonomous plant operations. So using this data will be for us is the next step to establish in our roadmap, and we are seeing a lot of potential. You know, being Tabreed is 22 or 24 now years old company, we need to capitalize in our know-how and our experience in district cooling. So this is now the first step is how we can collect this data and then how we can use it in the future. Still a long way to go, but we are sure that we are in. So couple of pilot projects yielded a lot of good results. That's why this has accelerated our push of moving forward in a fast pace in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for that informative presentation. My name is Riyad Ba. I'm with Guidehouse, which is an international consultancy. I have several questions. بس بنصعبهاش عليك. So first question, you mentioned refrigerants. What natural? I guess you refer to natural refrigerants. I guess so. Huh? If yes, then it would be nice to know what exactly you would use there. And then, how do you see the fact that normally on the demand side we are pushing to reduce, so to say, the demand? Is there still a potential for district cooling if the demand on building side is pretty low? And last but not least, in your decarbonization strategy, have you also encountered gray energy for materials that you use? And that's enough for that moment.
What's the last point?
Gray energy for materials, embodied energy.
Gray energy.
Sorry again?
Gray energy?
Yes. For the
Waste
production.
energy.
No, for the production of materials that you use. Embodied energy also.
Scope 3, this is
Scope
right?
3, exactly, yeah.
Okay, I will take the first question on refrigerants. As we are aware, with the different phase down of HFC ongoing in Europe, and the increasing price also of these refrigerants are affecting the market. Unfortunately, I would say many countries are not tackling the problem of refrigerant the same way. In US, for example, we still have large use of R134A for refrigeration, and the same as in UAE. At the moment, the suppliers are not don't receive this push from policies, government decisions to phase down this refrigerant. So the use of alternative refrigerants is becoming on a voluntary, it's a voluntary base and let's say more oriented to HFO, synthetic refrigerant than natural refrigerant. Doesn't mean that natural refrigerant, they don't have their role to play in our industry, especially when we look at ammonia. So of course, yes, we are open to these solutions. We have also been using HFO in our systems. So we are having an impact on GWP and the impact of this. But most essentially, I would say that the problem of refrigerant and direct emission related to refrigerant has to be tackled from the leakage point of view. So when we put together all the factors and we prioritize where the actions has to be done in refrigeration, in the cooling sector in general, we have to be careful on how we handle the refrigerant inside the circuit. So when we limit the leakage, when we have expertise there, we are just eliminating the problem. So the main problem remains energy efficiency. When we see the impact of emissions coming from the refrigerant in a cooling system where there is a low percentage of leakage with respect to what energy efficient the impact is, you will see that the proportion is totally different. So yes, it's a very important issue. Yes, we are doing actions to introduce new refrigerants and with low GWP or natural refrigerant in our fleet, but at the same time, we have to tackle energy efficiency as a priority.
The second part, can you repeat?
Actually, to be honest, I also have forgotten the question. No. The last question was embodied energy for the material flows. And the second question
was about the increasing cooling demand.
Exactly.
And how district cooling can play a role in that.
No, the other way around, actually, the decreasing cooling demand. So actually, I'm architect and I try to build low energy buildings. If we don't have hardly no cooling demand, does district cooling still make sense?
I will make you an example of what happened in Paris in the ministry, in the new building of the Ministry of Defense, where they built a building, the architects, they built something copy-pasting the natural corridors for cold, let's say, air, as in many hot cities in Middle East. It is a good approach because this has to be taken. I mean, there is not one solution that is working for everything. We have to combine all technologies and all our creativity to improve the energy consumption of our buildings. At the same time, we need to understand that some solutions has to be combined with others to be effective. So yes, we all aim for reducing the consumption in buildings, but we need to include all the solutions to improve the energy efficiency of the building. So whenever a building is connected to a district energy system, I talk about also heating, you can reduce on insulation, you can optimize on orientation of the buildings, on the material that you use for the window opacity to the sun, etc. So there are benefits that you can get when you connect the system to district cooling that can be advantage for the structure of the building itself. So I would say is a balance of the system. You want to take the last question?
The last question is about the gray, you said...
how we use the material
when we now, as I mentioned in our slides, majority of our carbon footprint coming from scope 2 or scope 1. And scope 3 is still, we are in the phase of exploring and trying to quantify scope 3 emissions.
But one thing I would add to this is when we compare district cooling with the traditional air-cooled solution, which lifespan is around 10-15 years, district cooling is a long commitment with our customers for more than 30 years. So if we compare also the equipment that are used, these are industrial equipment, their lifespan is much longer. So there is also this factor to take into account when we compare the emissions from scope 3 on standalone solution and district cooling.
Hi, I'm Haytham Atta, Contracts and Commercial Manager in Administrative Capital for Urban Development. Thank you for your nice and efficient presentation from Antonio and Atif. It's not a question, just kind of exploring the opportunities in the new capital. I see that you are, of course, one of the leaders in the cooling services in the Gulf area. And I hear that you have a new market here in Egypt. And we have plenty of opportunities in the new capital that we can participate, or Tabreed can participate, whether on the scale of the operation as we construct the largest district cooling plant in the new capital with a capacity of 64,000 tons, and we tender a new one. Also, it's on the pipeline, but we can change the model if we work together and apply the due diligence from both sides, whether for the investment in the cooling, as Riyadh said about the cooling demand, and if it will be afforded in the coming years, but in the new capital, the cooling demand is afforded, as we are preparing to the move of the ministers to the district there within the coming 2 or 3 months. And we have admin buildings and banks and different uses of the building that for sure they will ask for the cooling. And as you said, that on the overall cost of the building, the district cooling plant is less than the traditional cooling solutions.
Absolutely.
So I'm inviting you to explore the opportunities in the new capital, whether on the operation to make use of Tabreed know-how, or investment in the coming plants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would say that this is in our strategy to penetrate new markets. We are already present in Egypt. We have a company called Tabreed Egypt, which is located in New Cairo. We have been awarded 2 projects now. One is under construction, and the other one is Capital Med, that you are all aware. So yes, we are exploring this market. And of course, for us, it's a pleasure to have this invitation to participate in this project. Not the first time we are in contact with Acud, and we are keen to explore new possibilities for cooperation and to see, as you said, on the operational excellence or in participating directly in the investment in this kind of projects, of course. Our general manager, Hiba, here is present, so you can liaise directly with her to have more details on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.